Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lovers of sports from all across the world, it's time for Game On here on News Central Television. Welcome once again. My name is Babatunde Kweki. So glad to have you join us because we know anywhere in the world that you are, you're making it a point of duty to tune in live to this show and enjoy the best 1 hour of sports news and, of course, a breakdown of all the major sporting talking points from across the world. Of course, you know that you can join us using our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, X, and of course, well, there's also basically any other one that you can think of as well. The handle is at News Central TV, and we're also streaming live on YouTube, which means even if you are in Saudi Arabia, which is actually the venue of one of the biggest sporting events this century, you can also join in as well. Welcome once again. I never do this show alone, thankfully. I always have wonderful people in the studio with me as well. There is Ope Adebari on my far right. Ope, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, there's also Toyi Ibitoyi, of course, former media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course, a former special assistant to the former Minister of Sports Development as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
A lot of former. But I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. And of course, there's also Wale Adigo as well, who is also the media officer of
Technical director.
Sporting director of sorry, I'm not diminishing your role. I'm not diminishing your role. It's just an error. That's who is actually the sporting director of Ughelli Rovers, broadcaster and podcast extraordinaire. Thank you so much for joining us.
He's actually also a sports fan too.
Oh God. Please,
you can add that too.
For the love of God.
It's an absolute pressure cooking.
For the love of God. Yeah. Actually, so welcome once again to the show. We'll take a very short break right now, and we will be right back with the rest of the show. Thank you so much for staying tuned. You're watching Game On. We took a short break, not because of anything momentous that has happened at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but because of a small technical glitch, which we have since fixed. Right now, let's get into the program proper. Well, one of the biggest fights in the history of boxing is just days away. WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury will take on Alexander Usyk in a fight that will see all 4 belts. That's the WBC, IBF, WBO, and WBA belts all are put on the line for the first time in history. Now, these two men, of course, we've been expecting this fight for quite a while, but it seems that everything is online for this fight to go ahead. Just a few minutes ago, the grand arrival was concluded in Saudi Arabia, and both men had choice words for each other. But apart from Tyson Fury taking on Alexander Usyk, there is the small, very significant matter of the fact that Nigeria will also be represented in this particular fight as well. Yes, Nigeria's Oluwaseun Wahab, also known as Seunzy, will be competing for the WBC Silver Lightweight Title as well, and he will also be facing Mark Chamberlain of the United Kingdom as well, and that strap is also on the line. I'm talking about the WBC Silver Lightweight Title. It is vacant. It is available. We're supposed to have Oluwaseun join us all the way from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia tonight on the show. We're having a little issue, but hopefully he'll be able to join us. But gentlemen, let me start with you, Ope. It's not every day that we find a Nigerian boxer in the spotlight. I mean, he'll be fighting on the undercard of one of the most significant sporting events in the history of sports. Not necessarily boxing, sports. And I'm just wondering, where does this even figure in his plans? Because if I recall, he's never fought before on such a big stage. Maybe, I think the only time he fought outside Africa, that was in the United Kingdom. He lost via majority decision. But now you're in the spotlight, in the clear lights of one of the biggest events in the history of sports. How do you begin to soak this in?
Knowing Seunzy, in his background and his trajectory, no one would have predicted this, considering the fact that in terms of the big Nigerian boxers who are in the limelight, one would have thought probably it would be if they had Jagba, first of all, who would even have this sort of privilege. But you know what? That's not the case. And it's Seunzy. And for me, he has a very interesting story. And for someone who has achieved so much in his career, I think I love the fact that he's still very much humble. However, he is where he is today. And it's good to see that he'll be fighting under the undercard of Usyk and Fury. A very, very huge fight. This is going to be the beginning of a new phase in his career, and I wish him all the best in his bout.
Yeah, but Toyi, you look at this and look at what does this do for his career, apart from the fact that he'll be also earning a significant amount of money. But the fact that he also has a chance to win a legitimate title also makes him a bona fide contender for the WBC strap proper. But you begin to look at what does this do for his profile? Win or lose, he does. What does he take away from this?
I mean, this puts you in the top window. I mean, it's a massive, massive opportunity for him. This is the biggest fight in the world. And as you said, one of the biggest events in sports.
In history, yeah.
Yeah, not just for boxing, but in sports generally. So this puts him in the spotlight, gives him an opportunity to showcase his ability and what he can do. And I hope he takes this opportunity because it's a massive one. Everybody is watching. So it's huge. And if his dream is to go very far, this is a very wonderful step in that direction. So we can only wish him the best of luck. He's a young man. He's had plenty of fights. But this, I mean, for me, is the biggest stage, is the highest platform for him to go out there and do well for himself if he wants to make a career of boxing. He's had a good run so far.
Yeah, 24 fights, 23 wins, 16 knockouts, just one loss. That loss was the one he talked about where he lost by majority decision.
So this is a fantastic opportunity for him. Undercards of one of the biggest fights in boxing history. You don't have a big opportunity to showcase your skills and your talent and to make it count on such a stage.
While this fight will be taken at the 30,000 capacity Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's actually home of Al Hilal Football Club.
Yeah.
Of course, for those who don't remember, Al Hilal Football Club is the Saudi club that signed the likes of Neymar, and Alexander
they are champions of
Koulibaly as well.
Milinkovic-Savic. And this is a major event in the life of this particular boxer. But let's talk about the card itself. We'll be getting other experts, boxing experts, as the days go closer. But Usyk versus Tyson Fury, both men have been talking tough. Everybody wants to see this particular fight. And it is a fight for the ages. One of those that maybe 20, 30, 50 years from now, we can actually look back tonight and that night and say that this was a pivotal moment in history. The first time that 4 belts will be on the line. Yep. Riches are plenty for both men. There's talk that both men could walk away with a minimum of $50 million each. But you get that this fight has greater significance than money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're looking for our first undisputed champion in 24 years. That's over 2 decades. And
some even say a quarter of a century.
Yeah, so that itself tells you that there's a weight of history hanging over this massive fight that has started on a very good note. So did anybody see Tony Bellew and John Fury?
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday. You know, and I mean, what has happened? Tony Bellew goes on to predict that he thinks Usyk is going to win.
Well, that's because, Usyk did defeat Tony Bellew, and Tony Bellew has had the pleasure of sharing the same ring with the man.
Oh, it's part of Tyson as well.
Yeah. Don't forget, Alexander Usyk was former undisputed cruiserweight champion, and he's looking to become undisputed heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think Bellew was saying, see, I was there as a pundit, I was there giving my honest thoughts, and I think that the best man, which is Usyk, is going to win. But you can tell that the pressure is really on there. But I think that Usyk has been much more calculated, has been much more calm in the build up to this fight, and that just explains the man himself. He's always an epitome of calmness. So the build up's good. Saudi Arabia hosted it. Saudi Arabia becoming the sporting hub. And we know
sporting Mecca.
Oh yeah, globally.
True.
And we know they talk about how human rights and all of that. That conversation also is coming to the front burner as well. And a lot of people are saying that Tyson Fury, Usyk should use this opportunity to speak out to all of the issues of human rights in Saudi Arabia. But I think we just want to have a good time in Saudi Arabia. It's fight night, and fight night, honestly, this is the biggest this year, right?
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think it's also been a wonderful last couple of years for boxing. Yeah. And this is just the height.
And many people actually attribute this to the fact that it is because Saudi Arabia has entered the fray. Back in the day, we used to see boxers ducking each other. I want to keep my unbeaten run going. I don't want to face this particular one. But, with the General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia, led by Prince Turki Al Sheikh, all these barriers have been put aside. this man wants to fight you, this man wants to fight you, this is money on the table, come and fight.
Absolutely.
And so basically, nobody really has an excuse not to fight anyone anymore.
I mean, that's the truth, and they've, I mean, delved into golf, delved into football, and all of that, making big money available. It's all part of a big plan by Saudi Arabia to become the hub for sports in the world. So there are no excuses anymore. If it's the money, they'll put it down for you, True. And then you can get on with the fight. So we're going to see a lot more of this, and you've seen that. Apart from boxing, they've also come into UFC and all of these combat sports.
As a matter of fact, even now, it's interesting, the General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia are now even hosting events even in the US now.
Yeah. Wow.
There's an upcoming fight between, I think, Terence Crawford and I can't remember his name now. It's also being hosted put together by the General Sports Authority.
And it's looking like it's the period where you're having a lot of boxing promoters come out of Saudi Arabia.
True.
A lot of boxing promoters who are now tagging into all of this. And
all of them are running to Saudi Arabia because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
But the real question for me is, you mentioned issues regarding sports washing.
Absolutely.
Does this really hold?
Tennis is there, let's not forget. The next three Grand Slam finals, WTA.
Are there legitimate concerns for these journalists and these countries?
Let's not also forget football, the EPL, Newcastle's
ownership as well. The future World Cup is also coming to Saudi Arabia as well.
It's all part of a big plan. So for those who want to dwell on sports washing, if what you're doing is to chase the money, then at some point it's going to happen. Those who have the money will want to push it out, and get a lot of relations, public relations from.
Oh yeah, they are. Look at the fact that
human rights abuses.
Remember the former Saudi journalist who was Khashoggi, who was butchered by the government.
Absolutely, it's all part of. There are a few things that have to balance out. If you are chasing the money, if you are being professional about your sport and you are interested in the money, then there are some things that will come with getting the money. Because it is those who have the money that
basically call the shots.
It will gravitate towards those who have the money. They will call the shots. So the same people that are talking about sports washing will turn a blind eye to investment in clubs and all of that. So it must happen. But how you handle it and to what extent you're able to control it is what we should be talking about.
Is it a case of those countries or those countries basically crying foul or crying wolf because they seem to be losing now to Saudi Arabia and many of these major events? Could this be a possibility as well?
Definitely. I remember when they first of all started with their league, a lot of top names from European football were not pleased with this at all. Because, they're thinking about it from sponsors and then viewership rights as well. These are two aspects in which the revenue generation is heavily based on. So when you begin to lose sponsors and viewership, it then is a problem. Now they are spreading not just from football, they're going into boxing, they're going into tennis as well, they're going into combat sports as well. So it looks like they've got a strategic plan and they're just going ahead with it. For the football in particular, they went the extra mile to go and hire Michael Emenalo to ensure that the football generally does develop. For me, that is a statement. So they are very much intentional. So it's not just about the money. They have a plan to actually, in my own opinion, take over the world.
I wanted to quickly speak to the human rights thing, because looks like we are casting doubt over the legitimacy of this. And I've got at least 3 names here. There's Manayal Al-Otaibi, jailed for 11 years. It's a fitness instructor. There's the Leeds University student who was jailed for 27 years for tweeting about women's rights. Now, there is also another guy, Mohammed bin Nasser El-Ghamdi, is facing execution for his peaceful remarks on YouTube and Twitter. These claims are very legitimate, but Saudi Arabia has been able to creatively, wash everything with all of this, because we won't be talking about this, but we're talking about Fury. But these claims are really out there.
Claims,
I know that the Crown Prince said that their GDP has increased by 1% due to sports. That is major. If sports contributes to 1% of our own GDP,
we'll be happy.
We'll be really happy.
We'll be
so I know
happy.
that the glass can be half full and can also be seen as half empty.
True.
But the claims are very, very much, legitimate.
But the truth is, as you open up to all of these interests, sports interests and all of that, there's going to be some dilution. And at some point, all of these abuses, all of these human rights issues that they've had will have to be watered down as they open up and receive more people in. Definitely things will begin to change. When you have the kind of Ronaldo, the Messis, the Neymars of this world come in, then you have to open up and drop the level of your level of scrutiny. And human rights
Just
abuses
the same way Qatar
around-
also did for the FIFA World Cup as well.
Definitely.
Saudi Arabia,
Something will have to give.
Something will definitely have to give.
yeah.
I'm just actually pained that Okwe mentioned Mike Emenalo. The fact that Saudi Arabia could see what we couldn't continues to hurt me.
No, they have the money that we don't have.
Okay, very true, very, very true. Still speaking about that super fight coming up on Saturday, one man has managed to make himself part of the headlines. Tyson Fury's father was injured after headbutting a member of Alexander Usyk's entourage as the build-up to Saturday's undisputed world heavyweight contest continues underway in Riyadh. And videos and pictures have been posted on social media which show John Fury Sr., who is 59 years old, by the way, being restrained as he chants Fury, and members of Usyk's camp also chanting their fighter's name. He was also seen to have touched heads with one man, and after the two camps, before they were separated by security. Then Fury Sr. Appears to headbutt another man, and he split his head open with blood running everywhere. But he's been asked to apologize. But the Saudi authorities said that no charges have been filed over the incident. But according to Usyk's manager, Alexander Krojcik, he said Fury has apologized, as we know. So speaking about boxing, we must remind you that it is a tough sport, and that's why these men earn tremendous amounts of money. 29-year-old British boxer Sherif Lawal died in the ring on his debut fight as a professional. The 29-year-old boxer collapsed in the ring at Harrow Leisure Centre in London on Sunday after receiving a blow to the temple from Portuguese boxer Malam Varela. Referee Lee Every started the knockout count, but then stopped when he realized the seriousness of the British boxer's situation. And doctors jumped into the ring and performed CPR, but it was not enough to save him. It was done for more than 10 minutes, and they took him to Norfolk Park Hospital, where he was certified as dead. Well, gentlemen, this also always brings to the fore just how dangerous these sports are. And you hear people like, what's his name again? Deontay Wilder talk about, going into a ring and putting their lives on the line. That's a dangerous sport, that, people can get killed. These are the kind of things that reinforce that particular notion.
Sadly, it is. But then again, I think this is also a reminder to boxers and athletes generally. Your health should be priority. Yes, we know you're passionate. You do want to perform. You want to make yourself proud or your family proud. But then again, you do need to always do your monthly and routine checkups. If you feel you're not 100%, don't go in for it, because if there's life, definitely you can go again. But then if you lose your life, that's just the end of it.
Is it a question of having proper medical checkups? Because these are some of the fittest humans on the planet.
It happens.
Sometimes
it's just one of the hazards of the job.
Yeah.
Punches, can come in. The force. It happens to the fittest of men. It's a very sad story. These issues. So many years ago, when it was very rampant for boxers to slump and die in the ring, there were talks about stopping the fight, stopping the sport, or putting more safety measures in place. Headgear. So maybe these issues will come up again at some point. How do you safeguard the head, particularly? In professional sports, do you return the gear for professional fights as you do in amateur fights? I'm not even sure they still have the gears in amateur fights.
It's
all right, so these are some of the issues that will come to the fore once again if cases like this continue to come up more regularly. It's a pity.
It's called the sweet science, but these are the sour moments. And the weird thing about the sport of boxing is that the enjoyment is gotten from the pain of others, if you get my point. A fantastic boxing fight is when blows are exchanged and you can see.
And now you go down.
Exactly. It just explains the hazard here. I think that Sherif was a very healthy guy. Didn't see this coming. I think he's been ruled as a cardiac arrest, which can happen at any time. It's very, very unfortunate, and we're hoping that his family has got that they get the strength to be able to go through this very trying period.
Okay. Well, may the soul of Sherif Lawal rest in peace. We'll take a short break here again on Game On. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for staying tuned. You're still watching the Game On here on News Central Television. Let's quickly get back to the showdown. I'll tell you that race 3 of the X-Kart series took place recently in Shagamu. The winner of that race was Team Harmony, while Team GN128 came second, while Team Fame came third. Now, there are 8 races in the X-Card series in total, and the next one we hear takes place in the first week of August. So that's Nigeria's very own motor racing circuit currently going on. Of course, we did have a Bukky Feyesetan here in the studio a few weeks ago, and was telling us about this particularly interesting initiative by he and his team. And of course, you can see the race here. It's really, really good. And each team, it's 8 teams in total, and each team consists of a team of 6 as well. So there's a total of 48 people in total as well. So yeah, there we go. So as you see, we were talking about how every single sport has its own dangers as well. But this doesn't stop these people from racing. They got up, dusted themselves up, and continued racing, Tony.
Absolutely. So it's fun to watch, and
even more fun to participate in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm happy that they're making good use of some of the roads that we feel are not good enough for.
Oh, these are not roads, though. This is somebody's
I don't know whether we are calling it just stretch of land or something. Yeah, but it's good, and I'm sure this will develop going forward.
We're definitely looking forward to developing as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, leaving that behind, let's also get to some very interesting news from basketball. 18 teams from the Savannah Atlantic Conferences will contest this year's NBBF Premier League. Yes, you heard it. We are finally getting a league. This is the men's league. In a release today, the NBBF said the league will run in 3 stages, starting with the conference playoffs, then the second round playoff, then the final 4, which will be concluding the competition and in the playoffs, which is the first phase. The teams within each conference shall play each other home and away. That's 16 games per team in the regular season. Now, there you can see that's the Savannah Conference. We have Nigeria Customs, Nile University. No, this is the Atlantic Conference. We'll go back to the Savannah Conference, but this Atlantic Conference, of course, you know River Supers quite well. If my producer can make up his mind, yes, there we are. The Savannah Conference, Nigeria Customs, Nile University, Kano Pillars, Bauchi Nets, Plateau Peaks, Boko City Chiefs, Gombe Bulls, while Correctional Basketball Club of Abuja are also in the mix as well. Then there's the Atlantic Conference as well, which a lot of us actually know quite well. Yeah, we can see the Atlantic Conference right now. Of course, like I said, it's 8 teams per conference, and each team also have 16 games per team as well. We heard that each team, there it is, the Atlantic Conference, River Supers, Lagos Legends, Police Batons, Delta Force, Kwara Falcons, Comets Basketball Club of Lagos. Is it the same Ebon Comets? I'm not so sure, but there's Hoops and Reed, and there's Oluyole Warriors Basketball Club. Whatever happened to Dodan Warriors and the other teams that we used to know? It's I don't know, things seem to be moving or changing very quickly in the Nigerian basketball circles. Well, anyway, the top 4 teams from each conference will advance to the second round playoffs, while the bottom 4 sides in each conference will also play off to determine which team will be relegated to Division 1. And according to the NBBF, the league format is one of the numerous efforts to improve the standard of the game in Nigeria. Well, that's according to them. I'm just hoping and praying that we do get a league finally. But the truth is, the fact is, the winner of this year's league will represent Nigeria in next season's Basketball Africa League, of course, which Rivers Hoopers are already doing tremendously well representing Nigeria. Well, it's time to talk football now. And if you're a big fan of the Nigerian Professional Football League, this league is actually based on which teams come up from the NNL. That is what we call our own version of Division 2 in Nigeria, and it is regarded as one of the most exciting leagues in Africa. Well, for what we can tell you, it is already the season has been concluded. We have the 8 teams that have qualified for the NNL Top 8, Super 8, that will be taking place in Enugu. Now, we hear that the Enugu State government have graciously accepted to host the Super 8, which a lot of people are calling the end game, because these are 8 of the finest teams that will be competing in the NNL playoffs. And 3 Lagos teams are also in the mix as well. Let's quickly show you the teams that have qualified to play in the NNL Super 8. Where the top 4 teams in this competition will actually qualify to play in the NPFL next season, and also get a chance to rub shoulders with the big teams in Nigeria professional football. Interestingly, there are 3 teams from Lagos in this particular NNL Super 8. There's Ikorodu City FC, no relation to Ikorodu United, and there's also Madiba FC. And
Inter Lagos, I think there's on Inter
Lagos in that mix as well. Well, joining us now from Lagos is the chairman of the NNL, respected journalist George Alu. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Game On. It's an absolute pleasure to have you, sir. First, let's start by what was the idea behind choosing Enugu as the venue for this year's NNL Super 8 playoff?
Thank you very much, my colleagues out there on Central TV. I must say thank you very much. You guys are doing a good job. Well, straight to the NNL matter, let me start by saying that the whole essence of going to Enugu first is the fact that Enugu is like one of the homes of football in Nigeria. It's a traditional place where you play football, where people follow the round leather game in this country. Like I said, Enugu is one of them. Kanu is another place where when you talk about football, you talk about mass followership. But there's another place. So for us, going to Enugu is like going to one of the traditional homes of football in the country. And we want to give kudos to Enugu state government for agreeing to host this competition. And again, you realize now, you read out the 8 teams that have qualified for the Super 8, and none of the teams is from Enugu State. So it's going to be a neutral venue where everybody will come and display their skills on a level playing field. So for us, Enugu is a perfect place to host the Super 8 this season. Last year, it took place in Asaba Delta State, and this year, we're taking it to Enugu, and the Enugu State government, immediately His Excellency Governor Peter Mbah came into power. He refurbished the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium and made sure that Rangers returned to their home base. Rangers before now were playing at the Oka City Stadium, but the governor promised Enugu people that Rangers will be back home in a couple of months, and he did. And we're happy that we're going to play the Super 8 at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium.
Well, so, I mean, if you look at the 8 teams that qualified for this Super 8, if we just show you that on the screen once again, 3 of these teams are from Lagos. Is that any surprise for you, sir?
No surprise. You know, Lagos is the center of excellence. So don't be surprised that you have so many teams coming out of Lagos, because Lagos is the #1 state in Nigeria, and they should equally show it in football. They say, a go for show. But gentlemen, my worry is, assuming 2 teams from Lagos qualify to play, where would they be playing? Just this season now, the only place we had to play all the league matches, both at the MPFL and NNL level, was at the MJA Arena, that is the Mobility Johnson Arena, the one they call the Onikon Waterfront. That is where Sporting of Lagos play. That is where all the NNL clubs in Lagos play. And now, 3 of them are in the Super 8. Assuming 2 go to eventually, the question we should be asking is where would they be playing? Because even the simultaneous game we played last weekend between Inter Lagos and Ijebu United, and then the Ikorodu City and Giant Brilla, one took place at the MJ Arena, and we were lost, and we had to play the other game, and we had to manage the legacy pitch at the National Stadium, which ordinarily is not one of the approved venues for NNL games. But we have to make do with that, because at some point we're going to take Inter Lagos out of Lagos for them to play in Ibadan. So my appeal is that Lagos state government should do something about the facilities in Lagos, because it is not good enough that a city like Lagos that prides itself as the center of excellence do not even have more than one venue where professional football could be played in this country.
Yeah, I'm sure that the Lagos state government are also working very hard to ensure that will be resolved. Of course, we do remember that we do have the...
But don't forget that both the Teslim Balogun Stadium has been out of use over the years.
Yes,
and the same thing with the Agege Stadium that has literally been abandoned.
Well, that's quite true. But we're just hoping that the Lagos state government are listening and trying to resolve this as quickly as possible. But finally, for my part, yes, there is also the interesting story of Beyond Limits FC, who are the academy or feeder team of one of Nigeria's finest teams right now in the MPFL. We're talking about Remo Stars. Now, according to FIFA statutes, 2 clubs owned by the same entity cannot compete in the same competition. If by chance Beyond Limits do qualify for the NPFL, what will happen?
Well, I think there's a difference in ownership, because this same question came up when Enyimba and Abia Warriors played in the NPFL level. So, but the truth is that Abia Warriors is a different entity from Enyimba. And the same thing, Remo Stars is a different entity from Beyond Limits. So Beyond Limits, I think the ownership structure is not the same as it were. And Beyond Limits, they've been doing very well. They succeeded in playing from NLO to NNL, and just once, and here now in NLL, they find themselves in on the verge of qualifying for NPFL. And I must tell you that those kids play some of the finest brand of football you can think of in this country.
Yeah,
These are little
I understand that, sir. I understand that, sir. And
14, 15, 16 years.
Yes, I understand that, sir. And I also recall that, yes, you are the president, the chairman of the NNL, but could you just clarify that again, that Enyimba Abia Warriors analogy? You're telling us that Enyimba Football Club is owned by a separate entity to than the one than Abia Warriors. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, because if you look at the ownership structure, Abia Warriors has a different. Enyimba is owned by the Abia State government, and Abia Warriors has registered directors who own this club. So to that extent, you cannot say that they are owned by the same person. But in terms of funding, I don't know how the funding goes. And the same thing with Remo Stars. Remo Stars and Beyond Limits, well, from what we know, Remo Stars is a different entity from Beyond Limits. So I get where you are coming from. But the owners of these two teams will, at the point where if Beyond Limits eventually makes it to the NPFL, they will come up and make these clarifications. It is not for us as league organizers, that is the board of Nigerian National League, to make this clarification. So, well, we know the points. I agree with the points you are trying to raise, but the owners of these two teams, at the point if Beyond Limits eventually makes it to NPFL, they will be able to make the clarifications.
Okay, sir.
I want to agree with you that it is not the call of the NNL to decide how many teams from which state or from one owner get into the Premier League. Yours is to organize the league and at the end of the day, choose out the teams that are going up. The Nigeria Premier Football League will have to look into this as part of the club licensing requirements put in place, and of course the Sports Integrity Department of the Nigerian Football Federation will have to look into all of this to come out clearly with that clarification on whether this club is owned. We know that Beyond Limits is like the feeder team of Remo Stars.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, so the Nigeria Premier Football League and the Integrity Department of the Nigerian Football Federation.
Yes, they may be the feeder team of Remo Stars, but what of in the area of ownership? I mean, not know who own because I know that Beyond Limits is a different entity from Remo Stars.
Once it is established that the funding comes from the same source, then these issues will have to be addressed.
If I could chime in on this real quick, I think that we have different precedents to work with, not in Nigeria. For example, Young Ajax in the second division in Holland a couple of times have gotten promotion to the Eredivisie. But because of the rules that the academy team cannot play in the same league with the senior team, they have always had to relinquish that promotion. Same thing also happens with the Castilla and Real Madrid.
Very true.
Barca B as well.
Very true.
Even if they secure promotion, they play the second division. But even if they gain promotion, they are not allowed. But there can be provision in the precedents of RB Leipzig and Salzburg in the Champions League.
But that's a different. That's in the same league.
Established that there are two
exactly.
Yes,
that's why if you can now say, okay, these are different entities. Yeah, there is a provision that they can play in the same competition.
And I do recall that a few years ago, Roman Abramovich had to divest his ownership of a Russian club, I think it was CSK Moscow, in order to ensure
anyway,
that...
let's just wait for Beyond Limits to qualify in the first place.
Okay.
This issue of ownership will be sorted out. The same way the issue of ownership was settled up sorted out when this issue came up with Enyimba and Abia Warriors.
And not that Aqua United and I think Aqua Dakada. So that's not the issue for the NLL to talk about. Your own is to organize the proper competition, the proper playoffs, and then get the best teams to come to the Premier League. But I want to find out from you, the dates were moved and all of that. How ready is the NNL for the playoffs? How ready is the NNL, and what guarantees are you giving us that you will put up?
No, we are very ready.
A show that
we
will be proud
decided to
of.
move the date because we discovered that the May 23 to 30 that we initially, agreed on, plus with
Federation Cup.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go on. Yes.
Hello? Hello? Oh, wow, we seem to have lost George Adwo. But,
I think there was a clash with the
Federation Cup of 32.
Federation President Cup. President Federation Cup.
Can you see the confusion that name change?
But just to get back to the conversation about what happens to BLFA, when you mentioned the case of Abia Warriors and Dakada, those clubs,
Aqua United
and Dakada, those clubs are not seen as feeders team.
No.
So they are
They are
teams
two
of
separate
teams.
entities.
So BLFA and Remo Stars is a different situation.
They operate from the same place.
Yes, BLFA is seen as an academy.
Yeah, but can Abia Warriors honestly claim that they did not receive funding from the Abia?
No. Once the funding is from the same source, we also had it with Sharks and Dolphins.
We've always it by merging.
We've always had it, but they always come up with a defense that look, we are different.
I was even say they have a board.
Can I give a bit of insight into what might happen? Now, I don't know if this is ethical, but from what I know, what could happen is that if Beyond Limits just qualify for the MPFL, before the MPFL board, they would ask them, do you have funding from the same source? In the words of George Alu, what he said is that if they have separate entities, it's okay. So it's just, for example, if Tony owns a club, we own the club together, and we know our teams are affiliated, quote unquote. When we get to the MPFL board, he will say, Beyond Limits is sourced by Tony. Remo Stars is sourced by
What you are not taking into cognizance is the integrity of the game.
Fine, thank you. Now, do we actually pay attention to the integrity?
Gentlemen, we heard that George Alu is back now. Mr. Alu, yes, if you can answer that question between what plans does the NNL have to ensure that the Super 8 will be a top of the line competition, hitch-free, and excellent refereeing, and a competition worthy of the NNL?
And then are there prize monies, are there rewards for winners and all of that?
Yes, let me start with the last one. Prize money and winners. For the first time, the winners of the Super 8 will be going home with the prize money, and the champions with pocket 5 million naira.
Wow.
That we are getting courtesy of our insurance partners. And then the most valuable player, the best goalkeeper, the MVP, all of them will be rewarded by ProStar, our kitchen outfit. And then talk about officiating. We are liaising with the Nigerian Referees Association, NRA, to get the best of referees for the Super 8. So the referees have done well all through the regular season. Clubs have been winning on the road, and we're going to see that perfect officiating in Enugu. And in the area of security, all that has been put in place. We are going to have a hit-free competition, and the matches will be aired live on radio. We have sealed a deal with Radio Nigeria and the #1 radio station in Nigeria to air all the matches live. So we are truly set. And like I told you, the only reason why we had to move from May 23 to 30 was to align ourselves with the calendar of Nigeria Football Federation, because the round of 32 matches of the Federations Cup will actually be coming up the same time we were supposed to be playing the Super 8. So we slightly moved it from June 7 to 14.
Okay.
So we have aligned our calendar with that of Nigeria Football Federation.
Okay.
And the beauty of it is that so many people thought at the start of the season that we would not follow our calendar, but we've done that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. George Alu, chairman of the NNL. We're looking forward to a wonderful and exciting NNL. I think it's quite fair that we can look forward to broadcast on radio. Brings back the old days when we used to enjoy radio commentary. Remember Ernest Okoko of a blessed memory? He made life very, very entertaining for many of us back in those days. But thank you so much for joining us, Mr. George Alu. Okay, Toy, before we go on from this part, I really have to ask you this question. Of course, you did see George Finidi. He was unveiled as Super Eagles manager yesterday. His assistants have also been announced as well. Well, former Super Eagles media officer, you have an insight in these kind of things, and you've also been around for a while. I must have no.
We've all been around for a while.
Yes, we have. George Finidi won the Africa Cup of Nations at the age of 22. He also won the UEFA Champions League at the age of 23. He's currently elder statesman of Nigeria football now. What can we expect from him?
Yeah, I wish him the best. I know he will have a lot on his hands. It's important for him to hit the ground running. I believe he knows the enormity of the assignment that has been trusted into his care, and I know he doesn't want to disappoint Nigerians. So I'm happy with the choice of assistants that he made.
You're happy with the choice of assistants?
That he made, yeah. The Dutch guy, the Turkish guy, the Nigerian, the Dutch, Nigerian, and those guys. And then Benjamin James and all of that. So
there you go.
Yeah. Benjamin James mentioned Amokachi.
There you go. There you go on the screen. Hold on, gentlemen, on the screen.
That's Benjamin James here.
Yeah. Football as well.
Yeah,
second assistant as well.
Yeah,
and you can flip through all the other assistants as well.
Yes.
Looking forward to them.
Can we go back to Amokachi?
I know Baroa. Baroa has been with the team. But I mean, I'm happy with the choices that he's made. Amokachi has been there as well,
he's a perennial assistant.
Wow. Whether perennial or not.
He's a good assistant.
Whether perennial or not, the most important thing is that he's back now actively in coaching after staying off for a while. But I have confidence in the fact that
and a short stint with commentary.
Oh God.
All right. How is Amokachi going to be assistant coach and is still working in the sports ministry? He's still working in the technical department of the NFL?
No, things will have to be cleaned up. No. Things definitely will have to be cleaned up.
But we need to be clear.
And I think he's also a board member of the Nigerian Premier Professional
He's also a politician. He's a card-carrying member of the political party. Are we serious?
No, gentlemen.
We need to be clear.
The same way, really, we have to go. But honestly, the truth is the Nigerian Football Federation have really not done its remit in terms of clarification regarding the status of a lot of these gentlemen who are now coaching the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Of course, we do know they've made it very clear that George Finidi will leave his role as
he's left the role already.
He has left the role as AIMBA manager, but we still need clarification regards the status of the likes of Daniel Amokachi and other members of the backroom staff. Thank you very much, Okwe, for joining us, Okwe, and of course the one and only Toyin Bitoi, and of course plenty of digs today. Plenty of digs.
He's looking sober now.
I'm deflated.
He's looking sober.
We also heard live score that we heard that Manchester City are currently leading away to Tottenham Hotspur. So a lot of Arsenal fans are not happy tonight. Just before we go, yes, actually it's 2-0, 2-0 right now in favor of Manchester City. As we say here in Nigeria, I believe I say church don't close. Before we go, let's tell you that 14-year-old gymnast Nadia Comaneci stunned the world at the 1976 Olympic Games with a performance so flawless that it demanded a perfect score of 10. The judges were so blown away that they awarded her the first ever 10.0 in Olympic gymnastics history. And this wasn't just a single moment of brilliance. Comaneci went on to achieve a record 7 perfect 10s throughout the competition, solidifying her dominance and taking home 3 gold medals on the uneven bars, the balance beam, and individual all-around. I only wish that Nigeria football could be just as perfect. My name is Babatunde Koiki, wishing you a wonderful night. Game On returns tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.